I woke up today craving a burger, not just any burger, something special. This organic molasses and this sriracha powder are really gonna come together to create a fantastic burger. In fact, an exalted burger. I'm Chef Michael Williams, and that's what we're cooking on the coast. There are burgers and there are burgers, but today it's a twist on burgers. I'm taking molasses, roasted garlic spices. I'm talking the Exalted Burger. Are you ready for it? Let's get right to it. Actually, you know what? We're not gonna get right to the burger. We're gonna start off by making kimchi. Making kimchi from scratch. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's bringing, passion, knife skills, and science into the kitchen. It's fantastic, it's fun, and I encourage you to make your own kimchi once you watch this segment. Let's start off by cutting up our cabbage. So, most common ingredient in kimchi is this particular kind of cabbage right here. This is Napa cabbage, also known as suchoy. Lovely, 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 beautiful cabbage. I really love it. A lot of cabbages have a lot of bitterness to them. This one's almost like a cross between lettuce and cabbage. It's got really nice, kind of soft, mellow notes to it, and fantastic cabbage to work into your diet. So we'll go ahead and just cut this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'm going to remove the core here and just break this into, I guess, about thirds. And then once we've got our nice evenly stacked rows here, it's our last cut, like so. Now the first step to making your kimchi is to kind of salt the cabbage. We want to wilt it a little bit, pull some moisture out of it. And so in order to do that, we're going to take a bowl and layer salt and cabbage. We'll go ahead and cut up this other half now. We're going to cut that into thirds. And then we've got our nice big chunks of cabbage. This is exactly how you'd process it if you were going to use this in a stir fry as well. Love cabbage in a stir fry. How can you not? Okay, so another layer of cabbage, another sprinkle of salt, and then our last layer of cabbage, and a bit more salt. Now we're gonna rinse this off afterwards, so you don't have to be too concerned about over seasoning. What we're trying to do is, again, pull the moisture out of there. We'll let that sit now for a couple of hours and then give it a good rinse. So I've got some that's already ready to be rinsed, which we're gonna come back to soon. Let's carry on though and get the rest of our veggies prepped. First up is carrots. So we've got some nice big beautiful carrots here. All right, so I'm gonna peel my carrots. What I want to do here, now this is a spicy sriracha, how hard is that word to say? Sriracha carrot kimchi. Typically there's a particular Korean pepper which is used in the making of kimchi, but like anything, you can substitute. But sriracha is a fantastic substitute for making kimchi. And that one's a little bit more accessible than the particular Korean pepper. So what I want to do here now is cut the top off, and I'm going to cut this into sections. The next step is to get myself a nice stable carrot on the cutting board. So I always like to cut an edge off. I can cut this up separately. So now that I've got that edge cut off, I've got really nice flat and stable carrot on the cutting board. Now that I've got these nice beautiful slices, I'm just going to go ahead and cut them into strips. So the mandolin works great for this. If you want a shortcut, go ahead and use your cheese grater. That's a really quick and easy way to grate carrots. With that said, you get a much nicer presentation on this, as long as you got a nice sharp chef knife. Now you might be sitting here thinking, what the heck does this have to do with a burger, right? Like, where's the burger, Mike? We're not getting to the burger yet. This is a component of our final dish. We've got all kinds of great ingredients that we're going to be using for it, but that's coming up later in the show. So let's just stick to the kimchi, shall we? One more veggie to work with, and that's green onion. So I'm going to grab some green onion, and I'm going to break this up into two parts here. First of all, I'm going to trim off those ends. Okay, those rooty ends we will not use in our kimchi. And I'm also going to take the white part of the green onion, and I'm gonna put that into the little mini food processor here for later. And finally, we're gonna use this and just kind of roughly chop. So there is the body of our kimchi. Let's go ahead and grab the wilted kimchi that we have already. So I mentioned already salted. This was salted. We rinsed that salt off. You make sure you rinse it really well, let it drain really well, and this is where we're at. We've now got this nicely wilted and seasoned and moisture pulled out of cabbage. So we're gonna set our green onions aside for now. Actually, what am I talking about? No, we're not. No, we're not. We're gonna put them in with our cabbage. Scratch that. And we'll get our carrots in there. And then let's quickly bust up the brine that is going to create that fermentation that's gonna make all the magic happen. So we got our little mini food pro here. I'm gonna add in some ginger and some garlic. So I want about a thumb-sized piece of ginger. You always hear that expression, a thumb-sized piece of ginger. We're gonna call it about there. Don't bother peeling. Lots of good nutrition in the skin of that. I'm just gonna bust this up a little bit so that the food processor can do the rest of the work. Some garlic. Best way to peel garlic, right here. Just line it up and give it a little crack. And we need about 8 cloves. 6, 8, 6, let's call it 6. Let's do 6. We'll mellow out the intensity of the garlic just a touch. I'm all for garlic, but you can overdo it on this kimchi, especially the way it ferments and everything else. So we'll trim off our ends here. And that's now ready to get into the food processor. Now we're on to some simple ingredients. So we're gonna go ahead and add in a tablespoon of sugar. We're gonna get 2 tablespoons of sriracha powder. Really beautiful color on this. Okay, so a couple tablespoons of that, a couple tablespoons of fish sauce. Now you can omit this, and for me, the fish sauce is what the kimchi is all about, but some people don't really like that super rich, pungent umami. So you feel free to minimize it a little bit or omit it. 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. There we go. Now we just need to bust this up, mix it with our veggies, and our fermentation process can begin. Great, that's all there is to it. Now you can do this in a mini food processor, you can do it with a stick blender, you can do it in a regular blender. So here's our beautiful liquid, all that great stuff. We're just gonna go ahead and pour that right on top here. And the best way often to get stuff mixed up like this is with your hands. Best spatula in the house right there. So this is now ready to be stuffed into a mason jar, right? We'll just stuff that into a mason jar, get that all loaded up, bring it right up to the top, and then get a wooden spoon and just really cram it in there and start releasing those juices. You want that liquid to be sitting over top of the cabbage. Lid goes on loosely, never tight, because it's going to be creating pressure. And anywhere from 1 to 3 days, and you have kimchi. Magically, it's fantastic. You're going to do it. We'll be back later in the show to pull together the Exalted Burger. But before that, out we go to hit the road. We'll be back after the break.
Cookin' on the Road is brought to you by Cold Star Solutions, an integral part of Vancouver Island's grocery supply chain for 20 years.
We are here on the Saanich Peninsula, 10 Acres Farm, which also supplies the restaurant with Katrina to tell us all about it. How you doing?
Good, how are you today?
I'm awesome.
Look
I'm
at
super
these.
stoked to be here.
I'm excited.
Farm to table movement, you know, you hear a lot about farm to table, but you guys are actually doing it. You're for real, the real deal.
Yeah, we're for real. You can see that we're standing on our farm that is 10 acres big.
It's actually part of the name for a purpose.
Exactly,
Right
that's
on.
why it's there. We are growing produce here. We are raising animals
Yeah.
for our use down in the restaurants.
Yeah.
So everything that we're doing here, we bring to our restaurants, and everything from our restaurants that can be sustainable and support our farm,
Yeah.
like feeding our pigs and our compost,
Right.
we bring back here.
That's amazing. That's such an awesome connected way to be a part of so many of the processes, and it makes,
Yes.
in my opinion, the food that much better.
I really think it shows through in the food. I think it makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
You get great flavors.
Yeah.
I also think that you get more passion from people and more involvement, and you hear more from your community about what they want to see and how they're going to enjoy the food that
Yeah.
they knew grew right there down the block from them.
That looks like a pretty good haul of cantaloupe, wouldn't you say?
I agree, that'll be delicious.
Beautiful looking stuff. So here we are with the cantaloupe. As I was down here, I saw butternut squash. We've got, what, delicata squash?
Yeah, for sure. We have our winter crops coming in
Yeah.
this cucurbit patch.
Right on. I love it. This is like so invigorating and exciting. It must be an awesome way to chef it up.
It is. It's really interesting and passionate to see what is growing near you and what you should be doing with it. Because especially when we're growing things like this and I want to showcase them in the restaurant,
Yeah.
I want to actually showcase them. I don't want to hide these flavors. I really want to use as many farm ingredients as possible,
Yeah.
and really let someone experience what that organic, pure flavor tastes like. These melons that we have are probably some of the best melons I've ever had. Amongst many places, it started as an experiment at the farm.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our crops do. We hear, hey, that does well, or hey, we want to play with this in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be a favorite of our guests or a favorite of our chefs to really manipulate.
Totally.
One of those things that's super amazing that I think that we have excellent versions of is our tomatoes. We
Okay.
have cherry tomatoes, we have large tomatoes, we have beefsteak tomatoes,
Yeah.
Romas.
Yeah.
They're all really delicious, and they're just like candy sometimes.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
so sweet and good.
Wow, that looks amazing.
Thank you.
Yum. I can actually smell it already, the fragrance coming off those tomatoes and the melon. I'm not gonna waste any time here.
course.
This looks too fantastic. Nice little balsamic glaze. Is that goat cheese or mozzarella?
That one is fior di latte.
Okay.
So that's like a nice, soft, fresh mozzarella that
Yeah.
we tear to order with our salad there. You have balsamic, extra virgin olive oil, basil, and the tomatoes from the farm, and
Okay.
our house-made sourdough.
So this melon you guys grew?
Yeah, this
Yep.
melon we grew,
Okay.
and the cured meat is from our pigs. And it's, again, about showcasing those ingredients, how they are, for how fresh their flavor is,
Yeah.
for picking them right off the vine. That's what we want people to taste.
Totally. Well, I mean, that's just, that is what it's all about, right? So here we go. That's delicious.
Thank you.
So good. Well done. Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure, such a treat for, you know, a chef to get treated by a chef.
Yeah, thank
We
you
don't
for
get that
coming
very
out
often,
and
right?
being able to see what we're all about out
Yeah,
here
absolutely.
in our community.
Totally. You guys are nailing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back into the kitchen pulling together our Exalted Burger. Let's go ahead and make up a burger patty. You probably haven't made one like this before. It's delicious. All we're gonna do is add in some flavoring to our beautiful Island Pastures beef. Grass-fed, grass-finished, love this stuff. So I'm gonna start off with some hemp hearts. Why not kick in some extra added, you know, beneficial, beautiful, healthy fats? So the hemp hearts, we got some whole cumin seeds here. I've toasted those already. We're gonna add in some salt. And you wanna add the salt right at the last minute before you start grilling your burgers. Otherwise you start running into sausage. That salt process really starts breaking the burger down into actual sausage meat. So by putting the salt on right at the end, then you save that from happening. Fantastic molasses here, great flavor. And then we're gonna hit the sriracha again. Nice spice on that. So feel free to substitute if you don't have it. That's all good. The last ingredient actually is roasted garlic, and I've roasted some up already here just with a skim of oil in this pan. I'm just gonna go ahead and put in these wild big chunks of garlic, and you know, you may get lucky and get one of the massive ones in your burger. So now let's go ahead and mix this up, and we're gonna get it right onto our grill pan. Now, when you're forming your patties, don't squish it too hard. You wanna keep it kinda just barely formed. Otherwise, what happens is we end up with a really dense burger patty and it's not as tender. I'm just gonna bring it together like that. And a good idea is to make the center a little bit thinner than the rest of the burger, so you don't end up with a pink center if you're concerned about that. Nice hot pan, and our burgers are ready to go in. Form up another one here. And that's all we're gonna fit into our pan for this run, because I wanna get a nice secret ingredient on either side here. So I'm gonna wash up. Always remember to sing happy birthday, that's the rule. Let's go ahead and grab some red onion. I wanna get a couple of rings of red onion grilling in there with my burger. That's all I'm gonna do is slice this onion into rings, about yay thick. Just peel off the skin, and we'll go ahead and get those into the pan. Maybe give them a kiss of oil, just a little kiss. And while that cooks away, and next up I'm gonna grab my kimchi that I made weeks ago. It keeps for so long in the fridge. So always remember to keep that lid on loosely in the fridge even, because that fermentation, as I was just saying, it continues, and we don't want this building pressure. This is going to be such a fantastic garnish to our finished dish. It's gonna be a nice accent flavor. I'm gonna grab some holy hummus from the fridge and a couple of plates. And I think I mentioned already, this is gonna be a bunless burger dish. I love rolling bunless. And instead of a bun, I guess you could say the hummus is what's gonna replace that. Beautiful flavor. This holy hummus, locally made here in Victoria, it's one of my favorites. I'm gonna use this as a liberal base on our plate here. Lots of good, healthy protein and carbs in chickpeas and hummus. Nice olive oil for great flavor. So that's gonna be the bed of our burger. I think it's time to give our burgers a flip. They are ready. I'm telling you, it smells amazing. And it's got a bit of a spicy kick in the air from that sriracha. See, I said it right that time. Look at that. Look at that big chunk of roasted garlic. Do not lose that. Oh my goodness. This is gonna be delicious. So a little bit longer on those burgers, another few minutes, probably 3-4 minutes to finish cooking. While we're waiting for that to finish cooking, let's take some of our kimchi and just chop it up a little bit. Right now it's in big chunks, as you saw how I chopped up that earlier batch. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a couple servings of this. Now kimchi is not just, you know, vegetables and spices. It's all kinds of great beneficial bacteria that are happening in there. You want to build up your gut health, and fermented foods are one of the best ways to do that. So we're just going to chop this up so that it's, you know, a little bit of a finer garnish. We're ready to hit the plate. So let's start off with some of that onion. Watch how I do this. Grab that whole ring. I'm going to place it on here, and then I'm going to kind of just scatter it around as a beautiful garnish. You know what I didn't do? I didn't season that onion. I could have seasoned that a little bit. I love seasoning everything, each component individually. But that's okay. Everything else will make up for it. Once your burger's cooked all the way through, you can place that on top. And we're gonna finish it off with a nice smattering of that kimchi. Oh, 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 yes. This, folks, is a beautiful dish. You could even take just a little bit of that brine juice and drizzle that on top. There you have it. Molasses, cumin, roasted garlic patty on a bed of holy hummus, topped with sriracha carrot kimchi, our own Exalted Burger.
Pairings are brought to you by Liquor Plus. Discover the plus.
What makes any burger better is the right beer. And with us to help out is Brian from White Sails Brewing. Thanks for coming down.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Burger and beer, you can't really get more natural than that, right?
Nothing better, yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I kind of gave you the lowdown on what I was going to create today, a molasses cumin infused burger.
Sounds perfect.
What were your thoughts on pairing that up?
Yeah, so we, generally speaking, when we do our pairings, we try and pair spice with either a big hoppy beer or something that'll cut it.
Right.
So we went kind of on the cutting it side this time.
Okay.
We have a really amazing collaboration that we do with a local coffee roaster in Nanaimo that I thought might pair well with some of the spiciness and the molasses flavor to it.
Nice.
So we brought that for you today, and if you like, I can pour you out one.
That would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
I love the combination of coffee and beer. They're always fantastic. So I'm pretty stoked to try this.
Yeah. So what we do with this one here is we do kind of a bit of a steeping process. You're up to see that guy there.
Thank you.
So we almost do a cold brew extraction with this to get some of the delicate flavors from it.
Okay.
So when you smell it, it should have a big kind of coffee nose to it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it shouldn't really have big coffee flavors. It'll be more on the kind of sweet end of the coffee roast. So
Okay.
A little bit of red fruit, a little bit of kind of nice, easy coffee tones, and a bit of vanilla.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll pair well with the molasses and the spice.
Well, let's have a taste.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, goodness.
Light, though.
That is delicious. Yeah,
Yeah.
the coffee's super subtle, but it's absolutely there.
Thank you, yeah.
I love this this pairing. Like in my mind, it's working beautifully. So I'm going to put it to the test and see how it is.
Let's do
You want
it.
to have a taste? Lots of big, bold flavors happening there. The sweetness in the vanilla, it's drawing me back in. I'm ready. Yeah, I think you nailed it, Brian. That's awesome.
Thank you. This is wonderful. Thank you
Super
so much.
good. So tell us a little bit more about White Sails Brewing. You guys have been around for a little while now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we started out in 2015,
Okay.
and we took a bit of an old neighborhood pub in Nanaimo and shifted into a community gathering space, basically.
Nice. That sounds great.
So, as best as we possibly can, we try to collaborate with our local community. This is a big part of that, obviously, trying to find local businesses that we can work with. But we focus our distribution across Vancouver Island. We're super lucky to be in a place that we can kind of be on the coast one day, in the mountains another day, and we try and take our names and our namesakes and our brands and our beers and really hyper-focus on what makes living on Vancouver Island amazing.
Cool. Well, fantastic, fantastic pairing here. Again, you nailed it, Brian.
Thank you so much.
for
Yeah, this is
coming
wonderful
down.
too. Thank you.
Yeah, tuck in. Check out our website where you'll find the recipes and all the details from today's show. I'm Michael Williams. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, dinner's better when we eat together.